star in the moon is the only light we'll see. No, I won't be every day, and I won't be afraid, just as long as you stand by me. Darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand now by me. Come on, baby, stand now and stand by me. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so grandparents living in China.
Yeah.
And met a rather untimely and tragic demise, didn't they?
Well, my grandfather did, not my mother's parents. They were both Methodist missionaries, and they worked for the Red Cross. And they actually met one over there, which is quite unusual for people like that, because most people married and then they went over and did that. But they met there, and he was a doctor in Shanxi province, and he was quite famous. And if you kind of pop up there now, there's a hospital that he kind of set up. And one day, he was famous enough to have a book written about him called Harry Wyatt of Shanxi. And one day he was asked to go and take some medical supplies to another province, and on the way they got ambushed by the kind of communists who thought they were Japanese. So they basically all got killed, and very tragically. And he got buried, and when the people got to the sideline the next day, there was just a load of graves with man, woman written on pieces of paper over where they were. So that was appalling.
Yeah. How posh are you?
I don't know. I met a poor person once. They bounced off the front of my windscreen.
I mean, obviously read the book, and I see the picture there. There's only a little snapshot of that house, with that mansion. I think it's the West Wing. Obviously, you couldn't actually get the whole house.
Yeah.
In the one shot.
It's true.
And because I'm thinking, obviously, I mean, it's not for Dom, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and kind of the way that you're talking about that upbringing, I'm thinking with somebody with such eccentricity and somebody with that kind of intensity of doing those kind of things, was he there for you at any time?
Oh, my dad, he kind of regarded us as if, I'm the youngest of 7, he kind of regarded us as if like we were flowers, and somehow this pollen had got spread over the stamen, and all these children had got. He was very Rousseau-esque kind of upbringing, it was a bit like the Addams Family, it was a bit like that. Because I'm the youngest of 7, and like you were dragged up by your kind of nearest and dearest. But he used to work during the night time and sleep during the day, and he worked on his books. And so it was quite clear to us that we were not to do languages, we were not to do academia. So actually, when you're working under that kind of slightly bullying situation, music's actually a very good thing to do, because you can actually play music quietly.
Yeah.
So, and it's not something that he did.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So you felt as though really you couldn't have that much of a kind of a relationship with him, because of what he was doing.
It was a force.
He was doing what he was doing. That's what I'm saying. It was like a vortex of what he was doing with his the intensity of what he was doing.
He just wasn't there, three-day week. He just fucked off to London and stayed in his flat in London and probably bedded 18-year-old students. That's the kind of the sort of thing he did, which he did do with gusto. I think.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So after that, it was A-levels, and then up to Manchester.
Yeah.
So what brought you up here?
Well, I thought it would be easier.
Apart from the obvious.
After listening to John Peel on some little radio station, hearing bands like the Smiths, I heard the Smiths the first time they were played. John Peel, I just wanted to go there. I just wanted to go to the city that Joy Division were from, the Buzzcocks were from, Magazine were from, the Smiths were from. How could you not want to be in that city? And it was quite depressed at that time, but it seemed like a good place to go, because it was you've got to get away from all that growing up stuff. You just want to go somewhere 180 miles away and set yourself up and not be the youngest brother, just be a faceless person in a crowd of a big city, a big musical city.
Right, so straight into Hume, and then likewise, and then you joined a band, likewise, with the opposite, it was too much Texas, and then you started working at the Haas. Good times.
amazing times. I mean, it was a quiet night when someone didn't get shot in the queue outside. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but it was always like that, wasn't it? It was pretty quiet. I remember there was this many people in the house, it would have been rammed.
Oh, there would have been
at one point.
Yeah, no, it was great that centre. I mean, Suzanne worked in the canteen and she managed us, so she got us all jobs working in there. And I remember one thing that in Manchester, she did like a burger, and the burger had like salad in it. That's like big news. That was like Jamie Oliver shit. That, you know what I mean? I mean, it's almost like you know, dining with Henry VIII. You know, having a burger with lettuce and stuff like that. But it was there were some great nights there. I mean, obviously it was like before. It wasn't the house thing was kicking off, and it was very eclectic. And it's like I've said in the book, it's like the biggest, most eclectic jukebox in the world. You know, it was fantastic. And you know, relatively close to people like Tony Wilson, relatively close to people like Mike Pickering, close to people like Rob Gretton. I walk around there because I glass collected, and the glass collecting, what a great place to be, because you could just walk around that as a stage, and you could really, it was a fantastic place. I mean, I thought people will write books about this scene because it's like the Factory, it's like Warhol, or I don't know. It's really sad that a lot of those. I mean, I don't think it's sad that the Hacienda closed down because it was never a building. It was a communion of people who were there. But I do think, having said that, I do think it's a bit sad they're pulling the BBC building down. You know, I was thinking that yesterday. There's another like iconic place where it's just a bit sad. I'm not sad they pulled the Hacienda down, but I'm sad they're pulling that down because that's the Granada building, the BBC building, these big iconic buildings. You know.
Yeah, no, but you're right though. It's more about the people than the actual. The bricks and mortar, though, isn't it? I mean, it's the movement of the people. Yeah. You know, we'll just take it somewhere else.
Yeah, and the boardwalk as well. You know, I mean, we played at the boardwalk with Tourist Texas, and we supported like the House of Love, and we supported the Beloved. So, you know, I think we're probably quite good because the bands we played with were, and we supported New Order and Hacienda. I remember Peter Hook's bass amps, so like the Alps. You know, get the Alps on that. Do you know what I mean?
Well, all right. We're talking about the Inspirals. So you go for the audition. And you pretty much, well, obviously you're in, you go to record the first track and they find out you've got a lisp.
Yeah, well, they didn't tell me for 3 weeks that I was in the band, you know. Right. So I turned up for 2 or 3 rehearsals, went along to Square One in Bury, and so anyway, so I get called in by the gaffer, who's Clint, you know, he goes, you got a lisp? I said, it's too late, I'm in the fucking band now.
Well, didn't they know? Didn't he? I didn't know you had.
Well, Graham, when we did... I'll tell you, Graham, on the second album, he wrote a song that has the line in it, gentle silence, see sadness subside. So I think someone was taking the piss slightly. The song that Clint wrote, because I used to live in this workroom where made clothes in the daytime, and nighttime we used to sleep in the workroom where they made clothes, and it's just above the place. It's just below the place where the Stone Roses had that shot done with all the paint on it. And when the pipe broke, all the paint came down through the ceiling, went all over a bike. So we had like a psychedelic bike for a while after that. But so I used to live in this workroom, and used to get dropped off there after working at the Hacienda, and all the people thought I was a rent boy, but I was living there, honestly. But anyway, this is a song that Clint wrote about what he saw out the window. Once had a home and job, family and pride. With all of the price we'll pay when things go wrong inside. You don't wear diamonds and you don't wear gold, and in the bruises on your face there's stories to be told. In the shadow of cold stone, freezing to the bone, but you keep a warm fire burning in your soul. You're gonna spend another black night, console a sad man in a hungry city with a million hungry
you stand inside there, it's a different world from the world you knew. A little boy's me little girl. As you tread your path through a jaundiced corridor, each day has no beginning and no end. There are those out here who claim to be so good. You'd suspect that Jesus holidayed in hell. What you give for a hot drink or a warm coat? Oh, what you give for a means to get you out of here. It rains upon your head, lines on your face become rivers into which you cry. Secret tears, secret tears, secret tears. When you stand inside there, it's a different world from the world you knew. A little boy's me little girl. The first night we saw you, we were laughing at you. We were hanging out inside the cantina. You seem to be so strong, stronger than a man could ever be. Laughing with your sisters in the rain, dancing on the curbstone when last you saw her. But when the trick goes wrong, there's no one there to help her. There's not a thing that I can do about it. I guess I'll just go home and write a song about it, song about it, write about it. When you stand inside there, it's a different world from the world you knew. A little boys mean little girls. It's a cold and trembling girl leans into a strange call. Not some spoken words to an unseen driver sitting there. Standing in Sackville, standing in Sackville. Thanks very much.
But you talk about the first tour as well with Inspiral, and I really like those kind of, not mundane things, but even down to picking who's going to get dropped first at home. Because of course, you know, everybody in a band's equal, but some are more equal than others.
It wasn't just that. What it was that a lot of them were living at home with their mums and dads, you know. So
yeah, so
they're living in this.
Yeah, but why should they get dropped off before me?
suddenly had a rush back. I've suddenly gone back like 16 years, but I feel really good about it. But the thing was that we were always joking that when they were building the M60, that at that time bits of it were called the M63, and we always joked that when they connected all up, we'd split up, which is exactly what happened, you know. But it's just as a band is a family, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think that Clint was like the dad, Graham was like the mum, and I don't know, Martin is probably like something like Jeremy Kyle or something like that. Do you know what I mean? But no, they're all like, it's like a family, you know. And there is a pecking order. You know, it doesn't matter if you're in a band or you're a set of plasters or you work at, I don't know, Jodrell Bank. Although probably no one works at Jodrell Bank now, but there's a hierarchy, isn't there?
Yeah, I know there's, but that's what I'm saying. I like the fact that you're kind of addressing those things that people don't. Of course, when people go and see a band, they go and see the band. They don't see all the machinations of kind of what's going on behind the scenes, and those kind of things. I thought that you brought them out really well.
Well, thank you.
Because it's something that's your life. You know, I think we said before. You know, when you go to bed and you see his face, and you wake up and you see his face, and then you're with him for the next 24 hours. For the next 24 hours.
Being in a band, I mean, the thing is, I don't want to make it sound like it was a negative thing, because you know, part of it is the big brutalisation of being in a band. You can join the army or you can join a band, can't you? You know, it's a brutalising experience, I think, you know. But having said that, you know, I think you certainly, I mean, I don't think there's anyone out of that band who isn't genuinely really funny, and I think actually Graham and Clint are probably the two funniest people I've ever met in all my life. They're very funny.
That you hook up with Jem Taylor.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's the first incarnation of the Lovers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a weight off your shoulders. Are you feeling free? Are you feeling like, you know? Because I know that when I left the Smiths, it was like, great, okay, now I can just carry on and get something else done now. Or were you like, oh shit?
I was a bit like shit, really, because there's a story in the book, you know, that in 1995, you know, we had this conversation, and, you know, Graham didn't want to continue with the band. I think in retrospect he was right, you know, I think he was right, you know, but I did say to Craig, I said, like, if you're a fighter, you know, if you're a boxer or something and you get knocked down, you have to get straight up. And Craig said, no, we're staying down. And so at the age of sort of 30, I had 3 kids under the age of 3, I couldn't really go and work, you know, at McDonald's, you know. So, and I remember being very down in 95 and we were given this chocolate Trivial Pursuits game, and it was like a pop one, and I ate the last one, and on the wrapper it said, what band did Noel Gallagher used to roadie for? It's fucking brilliant. So there's a lot of that in the book. There's a lot of levels of irony in the book, you know. There's you know, I'm not going to go into it. There's a story about John Craven in there, you know.
We don't know because people are going to buy it. Don't tell them everything. So then, so you've performing solo artist as Tom Hingley.
Yeah.
And then Steve Hamlin arrives on the scene, and then Paul, and finally Kelly. Is it Hingley? Nee Wood.
It is, yeah.
And Andrew Tolling on guitar. But just prior to that, I spoke to Si Wollstonecroft, ex-Fall member, and I asked him what he was up to, and he said, I was speaking to Tom Hingley, and he's looking for a drummer. And I said, is he now?
It is actually true that
I phoned you up and I said, what the fuck are you doing? What about me? And you said, I didn't have the temerity. And I said, okay, fair enough. Phone down, dictionary out. What the fuck does temerity mean?
To be honest, I thought it was somewhere in China.
Anyway, so of course you get a band together and everything's cool, and then it's no good now. It's too late. It's over.
I'm really sorry.
Yeah, and okay.
We'll talk about it in public later. Don't worry.
It's too late.
Part of what I was saying about the Inspiral thing, I'm very proud of what I did. But I love the idea of writing books. I love the idea of doing radio. I love the idea of, you know, I'm 47 now. It's time to do different stuff. You know, and I think at the age of 10, if you'd said to me, because my dad used to write books, you know. My brother Richard writes archaeological books, so it's in the blood really to write books. But if you'd said to me at the age of 10, like, you can either you know, write a book and find someone foolish enough to publish it and put it out, you know, and it'll sell, like, you know, it'll sell a load of copies or whatever. I might have gone into that. I'm not gone into music at all, because I think that writing is like music and Technicolor, because you really have the opportunity to completely change the way. I mean, music is well, you know, it's massive, but writing is almost even, it's more commanding as an art form than music is, I think, because you really do, you know, the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world, but I think the hand that, you know, that holds the middle, I think, rules the world. I think writing is, you know, and it, you know, writing, it doesn't, you know, you write your first book, it doesn't have to be original. It doesn't. It just has to be interesting. It has to be interesting.
Yeah, well, on that note, Tom, and your book certainly is. No, it's a right riveting read. Because, like I said, there's so many kind of people that are involved. I mean, I find it really interesting because there's so many people that I've met along the way, and even when you kind of try and cover those people's tracks by calling them Mr. P, I know who it is.
Well, you mean the accountant who got the baseball bat out? You mean him?
Yes,
Mr. P.
from OJ's.
Yeah.
So I know who that is.
But it's OJ's. We don't mean the popular 70s disco band. It's important if anyone's filming.
But it's a brilliant book because it covers just about every kind of base for me, and we've been doing that anyway. Listen, Tom, thanks very much for that. I really enjoyed it.
Well, thank you very much.
Nice one.
So the song's about my dad. My dad passed away 3 years ago. He had dementia, I think. He had like Parkinson's or something like this, and he was quite funny, my dad. He used to say things like, "You can't believe how much antidepressants improve Christmas." And when he was 17, he went around Germany and Italy and Austria just before the outbreak of the Second World War, and although he didn't cause it, he did have quite a bad temper, so it probably didn't help things very much. And in 1990, he came to Reading Festival with my mum. I got like a music industry car to pick them up in Oxford and take them to Reading. And when they got there, John Peel bought them both a drink, which I think is pretty cool. So we get a round of applause for John Peel, can't we? And as we played them to 80,000 people, and there was actually, I don't know if it was inspired by my book, but Noel was saying yesterday he was asked what the worst thing he'd had to do while roading for Inspiral Carpets, and he said running behind this pantomime cow at Reading Festival in 1990, shaking an udder. That was like one of the things he said that was the worst thing he'd ever had to do. But anyway, we played this gig to 80,000 people, and I said to my dad afterwards, I said, "What did you think of the gig?" And he gave me the most bizarre review I've ever had. He said, "The last time I saw an audience reacting like that, Thomas, was when I saw Mussolini giving a speech in Rome in 1939. So this song's dedicated to my dad. It's dedicated to anyone who's lost their mum and dad or anyone in their family. So thanks very much.
Don't of the tallest cliff. I don't have any safety net. Testing gravity's fall. Don't know if I'm dead yet. Don't wanna be a fighter. No, I'm not that tough. Don't wanna be a coward. Dead from 1,000 cuts. Get to desire. Drink from the devil's cup. Don't wanna be a fighter anymore.
without any echo, thanks very much for coming. I'm sure you're probably aware what you're here for. If you don't know me from Adam, my name's Dave Simpson. I write for The Guardian about music. I've written about music for a very long time, since the early 90s, which is when the Inspiral Carpets were in their heyday. And one of my earliest reviews, I do vividly remember being sent to exotic Cambridge to review the Inspirals and writing a sort of eulogy, really. And the headline was Magic Carpets. And it's funny how things stick in your mind, but I still remember that. And obviously at that point you don't realise that in probably 24 years later, you'd be sat in a field in Yorkshire talking to the man who was on the stage at the time, Mr. Tom Hingley. You won't really need much of an introduction. Was again and currently isn't the singer in the Inspiral Carpets. We will talk about that later on. But he's written a very, very absorbing book called Carpet Burns about his life, really, and about his time in the band. It's a real warts and all expose, really, of how it feels to be in a band that become very, very popular very quickly. And then aren't so popular after that. So it's a real rise and fall, which happens to everybody, basically, you know, whoever you are. And it's a very frank expose. It's also hilariously funny, and it's got a lot of very comical anecdotes. And I thought we'd start off. I mean, some of you might know that I'm a massive fan of The Fall, and I was very curious to read Tom's book because I knew that the Inspirals did a single with Marquis Smith from The Fall in the early 90s, and I was intrigued to find out what that experience was like. And I kind of know some of that from the book, really. It basically starts off with Marquis Smith arriving at the studio. This is the singer from The Fall, in case anyone of you don't know. An hour late and demanding £55 to pay the taxi driver. And then they go on to make a video together. And the line, one of my most favourite lines from the book describes this moment, and it says, "After upsetting the lady at the small hotel in Swiss Cottage by being rude, Mark started drinking at 8 a.m. And that kind of does set up the mood, really, for what it was like working with Marquis Smith, I imagine.
Yeah, he was very like my dad. My dad was like an Oxford academic, and he was very literary and very intelligent, and I think Mark chimed a lot with my dad. He was quite reminded with my father. He was like a slightly more reasonable version of my father, to be honest, I think.
That's one way of putting it. At one point when you're making a video, he manages to insert the microphone into the cameraman's eye.
Yeah.
Was that pretty much par for the course in A Day with Mark?
I think he might have thought he was on the golden shot or something, you know, left a bit right, a bit fire. I just think he didn't like making videos, so he thought he might try and bring the process to like a premature end, but the cameraman wasn't having any of it. He just got straight back on, so kept on filming. But it was great, actually, because I think Mark, he's always a supporter of the underdog, I think, and I mean, not all journalists were as kind as you were, Dave, and you know, he said he'd do a single with us because he really liked Inspiral Carpets, because the band were influenced by, you know, psychedelic bands like the Seeds and all that lot, and so he was perfectly happy to do a track with us because he knew that it would just make a lot of journalists look really stupid, which is always a good thing to do, you know, because at the end of the day, if you're an artist and you're a musician, it's your job to disrupt the orthodoxy. And so I think it was some funny things that happened on that. Later on, we then did Top of the Pops with him, and there's a whole load of things that happened there as well, but you know, so it was very exciting to see him singing in the studio. I mean, that was something special. And
a certain irony that in his career lasting, I think 37 years, I think it now is, that's the only time he's been on Top of the Pops. With you, not with The Fall.
He nearly wasn't on Top of the Pops because after he did the first two run-throughs, you got the director of the programme. He's in a part of the building that you can't see, and they didn't want him on the show. So we had to, like our plugger, who's a very nice woman called Nikki, said they don't want him on the show, and we basically had to say we are going to have him on the show, or we're just not going to do the show. And that's the trouble with the rock and roll business. It's very
it's very conservative. It always moves away from anything that's challenging or difficult. You know, and the BBC at that time was sort of civil service broadcasting. So, like, if you step out of line or you don't do exactly what you're supposed to do, you're not going to be on the show. So we had to kind of dig our heels in really on that one. Because the thing about them trying to take Mark off Top of the Pops is there's three sort of notable things about that. The first thing is, who's going to tell him? The second one is, who's going to tell him? And the third one is, it's the only time it's ever going to happen. I mean, it might be happening right now in some kind of parallel universe, you know, but I don't think it is. So, you know, it's the thing is, because the record company said to us, you know, I say in the book, it's like, you know, Mrs. Beaton, you know, when Mrs. Beaton said when you're making hair stew, like, first get your hair. Actually, it was someone else, but Mrs. Beaton stole all her recipe books off other people. She was a total Simon Cowell in that kind of sort of, you know, so the record company said, you have to do a single, a video, an interview with the melody maker, an interview with the NME, make a video, and then if it gets onto Top of the Pops, you have to do it with him. So we did all that, and then when we got there, then they still tried to take it away from you, and it's like, no, we're doing this. We got dropped 6 months later.
I suppose that moment where you're in that kind of like situation where you know you were one of the three hottest bands in the country. It's an amazing thing historically to go through, really, you know, and it was a period of time that lasted probably, you know, 4 or 5 years, really. And yet in the book, I think you've almost been a bit hard on yourself as a band, artistically, and as people individually about that period. You know, is there a certain amount of guilt that you didn't quite? I don't know, that you didn't deliver in some way, or that you didn't behave as you should have done, or in
no, I don't think that. I think the book was more. I feel not in present company excluded. I feel that the media or music or culture, it's a myth-making machine, and what had happened is that because we existed between the bookends of the Stone Roses' first album and Oasis's first album, a lot of lesser journalism by other people has diluted the contribution that we had. You know, for example, the NME put like a Manchester special out about 5 years ago. There were like, you know, 86 pages. Well, I wasn't counting them, but there were 86 pages. Page 16 was particularly good. Hi there, Pez, you're right. This is Pez, who's out of the New Fads. I think you should get a round of applause, because New Fads are a fantastic band. And our dentist next to him is Mr. Michael Farnell, who I used to collect glasses with in the Hacienda, so I think he should get a round of applause. But I'm not going to go around the rest of the audience, although I do know who every single one of you are. I do know your PIN numbers, but I think it would all get too little Scientology-like if I did that. Although, yeah, okay. Yeah, so what was the question?
I can't remember. About being hard on the band.
The thing is that because Noel went on to become so fantastically successful, and that's such a great thing, it kind of subsumed the history of what happened before. So I wanted to produce a kind of work of art, a myth-making work of art, which would put the band back into being the centre of the discussion of what was going on. So when people look at it, you only write I only write books for one reason, and that's to destroy orthodoxies. My concept of writing a book is to destroy orthodoxies. It's like what an eraser head does on a tape machine, or what a lathe does when it's cutting through a bit of metal. So my intention with the book was to grab people's attention and then make them look at the contribution of what we did as a band differently, because in their own ways, you know, all the people in the band, whether it's Clint or Graham or Craig or Martin or Stephen who's in them now, they all are quite remarkable people, but they're all way too modest. And so someone actually had to say we were really good. And you know, and I think the audience for the book has been electrifying, because there has been a kind of collective cheer of people saying, oh, thank God somebody actually said it. So I think that's a good thing. So the book is quite harsh, because I think if you're in that myth-making machine, you need to know that it's a dynamic machine, and you need to get that kind of advice from Peter Hook, because you sure as hell ain't going to get it by watching The Voice. You know, you like The Voice, the people in the audience in The Voice are made up out of people from G4S they get paid about 180 quid to stay in the audience for 8 hours because they don't want the continuity to change as the programme goes through. So even the audience, even the audience is on time and a half, and has had to do media degrees, in the University of fuck all, and so therefore, I think it is harsh, but we need to be harsh on ourselves, because if we're harsh on ourselves, we might not put up with the fuckers in government being hard on hard on us. So I think it is harsh, but I wanted a work of art that would actually say, for the 200 odd pages, the only thing that mattered was Inspiral Carpets. So that required to get the microscope out. It required to stick a nail through the butterfly.
Mr. Tom Hingley,
Thanks so much, Dave. If you want to find out what's going on, I'm on Twitter at Tom Hingley Music, so come and check that out. It's a song called Leaving It All Behind. I've got like an album coming out on Pledge Music next month or the month after called Sound, so have a look for that yet. Dreams blow up in smoke, fall apart, and your walls made out of sound, leave it all behind, leave it all behind. Leave it all behind. Leave it all behind. When your life isn't yours, and you're closing too many doors. Isn't blowing your way, then your heart is just drifting away. Leave it all behind. Leave it all behind. Leave it all behind. Leave it all behind. Sometimes I'm wrong, leave myself coming back, myself coming back. 40 years in the desert, never found my promised land, only found myself. So close you can touch, and your life is getting too tough. When the wind blows straight through your soul, into my home. My little star, pull out of the skull into my home. Thank you.
Thank you for coming today to this fantastic venue, St Peter's. I don't know if you've been here before. We did our first event here last year and it's a fantastic space, so thank you to everyone at St Peter's for allowing us to come back again. And we've got a bit of a Manchester theme going on this weekend, so I don't know if any of you saw Peter Hook last night in Morley, but he was fantastic. And we've got another musician with a fascinating memoir out this afternoon. Carpets is his new book about his life and times in Inspiral Carpets. And we're delighted that the Yorkshire Post's Chris Bond is here this afternoon to talk to Tom. But first of all, he's going to start by playing a couple of tunes. Thanks very much.
You were good. And if you want, I can feel the tears fall like scars out of my face. Like nails from the crucifixion that's taking place. I was blind, 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 blind. I was led, sad. oddities I have felt. Falling down upon my shirt. Wet, weary road to home. Spent dead building road. You're in love, that's alright. Take a step into the light. Get your soul high. Get your soul high. That's alright. Take a step into the light. It's your soul high. It's your soul
The reason that this actually exists is quite a sweet story, which started in the 1950s, when a couple met in the Rochdale library, the old one that we used to have, and they fell in love. It's an even happier story than this as it goes on. They fell in love and they got married. And they shared their love of books and literature. And as time went by, they got older, and when they started to make their will, they decided that they wanted other people to share in what had started their love together. And they put a bequest together for Rochdale. And the idea was that the money had to be spent on literature and ideas. And it's their bequest that is currently funding the festival that this event is part of. I'm Steve Cooke, and I'm from all across the arts. We have a regular page in the Rochdale Observer, able to advertise in Middleton Guardian, we do a radio show, and we have outlets in other journals and magazines. But before I welcome Tom to this particular event tonight, this Literature and Ideas Festival event, I just want to say a few words about this person. As you know, he was the lead singer in Inspiral Carpets. He's a writer, a lecturer, a solo performer. He's also an extremely good conversationalist. And I know this from personal experience. I had the pleasure of doing an interview with him a couple of weeks ago in the cafe on the 3rd floor of Athlete's Palace. What's going to happen tonight is that we're going to talk about Tom's book, Carpet Burns, which is the only book I can honestly say that I read in a day. I'm the sort of person who reads when you go to bed and you fall asleep halfway through a chapter and think you might have read it the next day, but you're not sure. But I read this whole thing in a day because it gripped me. It's a really well written book. It's a book that I would recommend to anybody with even the slightest interest in music, or anybody that actually likes good writing. It really is a good book. And I want to welcome on stage now Tom Hingley to talk about his book and then sing you some songs. Tom. I am not getting paid to promote his book at all. It's a genuine like for his book and Tom's solo stuff. And although this might not go down too well with a lot of people in the audience, I'm one of the people that actually thinks that Tom's solo work is better than his early work with the Carpets. And I would actually recommend anybody to listen to the stuff. It certainly works for me. In writing the book, one of the things obviously that you're doing is looking back at a younger version of yourself. Did you find that a comfortable experience or an easy thing to look back on and actually put into words for people to read now?
I didn't find it easy, but I think one thing that which is probably common amongst everyone who's creative, whether you're like a musician or whether you're an architect or I don't know, is that you kind of get used to the artefacts that you've created going off and having their own lives. So like you do occasionally turn on the radio and hear one of your old records, or you do go in a club and occasionally hear your old records, and they're a bit like your old family photo albums, only they've taken on a life of their own. So I think I was quite used to that idea of peering back at earlier versions of myself, which in one way is set in aspect, but another way are changing as time goes on. So I think it's probably a bit different for me to write about my past, because very luckily, because I was in this fantastic band, I did kind of create a kind of soundtrack for a generation of people. So it wasn't easy, but I was used to doing it through listening to my records, over time.
Taking you into the book on pages 89 and 90, if anybody's familiar with the book, you talk about one of the songs that you actually wrote for the Inspiral Carpets, a song called Please Be Cruel. And you reference songs Waterfall and the Beatles' Dear Prudence, the film The Last Tango in Paris, both Elvis's, Costello and Presley. You also reference in the jazz-inspired dot-to-dot strings of words. You're talking there very much about what the creative process is like for a songwriter. I wonder if you could explain to us how it works for you as a creative artist when you're actually writing a new song.
Well, I think songs are all different, so there's as many different ways of finding the genesis for a song as there are songs, but sometimes songs come to you, you might say phrases, and you might have a phrase you keep on saying and you think, well, I'll put that in the old knapsack and I'll use it in a song. Or sometimes you just might wake up with a melody in your head, but I think it's I think being creative is something that if you're creative, it's something that you're burdened with, really, in a way. I'm not saying that what you're creating is good, but you're kind of burdened with being creative. So you're going to take ideas and fashion them and change them, and so I suppose there's many different things that inspire songs. Sometimes it can be a phrase that you hear, which is constantly repeated. Sometimes it comes from inside you, and you don't really know what the song's about until a year after you put the record out or something like that. So there's as many different songs.
many different ways of composing songs as there are songs. One thing, just to make, I don't know whether you're going to lead on to this, but one thing that I found about writing a book is that every paragraph is really a song, really, if you're a songwriter.
So when you were writing the book, that's how it came to you, did it come to you chronologically, or were you inspired by a particular memory or thoughts? A song that you'd heard that reminded you of a period of time?
I don't think it was that structured. I think it was just like, if you... It's that desire to actually just get it out there. And with the first book, it's kind of quite naive. It's a bit like Tom and Jerry. I don't know if you got with Tom and Jerry and Jerry holds up a gun and blasts Tom's head off, and this enormous bit of energy comes out the end of the gun, and that's almost what writing that book was about. It wasn't very controlled, and then maybe trying to fashion it into something that was a bit more structured, is something that happened 2 or 3 stages down the road. You more or less would write a chapter, or you'd write a scene, and then later on you'd fit it into the superstructure of it. But the initial thing was like a cartoon gun going off in the face.
Is there a number of songs or one particular album that you're sort of most proud of? You look back at that and you think that worked, that's what I wanted it to sound like, that's what I'd like my grandchildren to listen to and know that was me?
Well, actually, my children were very, very unimpressed by the fact that it was in Inspiral Carpets, which I think is exactly how it should be. And it's funny, actually, because my daughter Sarah, she sent me a text about 14 months ago saying, I've just been to see the new Simon Pegg film, and they said there was a scene in one of the pubs that he was in where they were playing playing This Out Fields, and your voice came on. And he said that was really great, and I just wrote the text back, and I said to Sarah, it's not impressive that the song was in the film. What's impressive is that you thought it was significant enough to send your dad a text about it. They're not impressed by me having been in a band, which I think is good, really. I think that's a good thing, really. In terms of cohesiveness in records, I like all the records. It's like saying which one of your children do you like, or which one of your children don't you like, and so I don't think you can do that with records. So the first record was just a massive explosion of dynamism and a lot of things coming together. The second record was an art record, which a lot of people didn't like, which actually I think is people's favourite record now, Beast Inside, actually. The third record, we were trying to scrape our career back together after doing a difficult second record, so there's a lot of really good pop songs on that. And the fourth record, some of it's not very good, but some of it's very, very good. Satin Fire's very good, I Want You's very good. So I'd say I don't have a favourite album, because I think they all have their good points. I don't think we ever made a truly cohesive record, but in that period of time. But I think we made a lot of records that people still love now. So
I think a lot of people have come here tonight who probably were burning with a question they'd like to ask. So if anyone would like to ask Tom a question before I continue with my vast array of questions, would anyone like to ask anything?
What's your favourite pie?
Sorry?
it's my favourite pie. Yeah. My favourite pie. My mum's steak and kidney pie. Fantastic. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. With a little thing to hold up in the middle of the crust that looks like a bird flying up in the air. Yeah, that's my favourite pie. It's a good question. Yeah. My favourite ever moment on stage. There's a couple of them. I did a gig playing with 3 of the guys out of James about 3 years ago, a charity gig, and that was pretty amazing, really, playing with them. With Inspiral Carpets, I think probably maybe the first GMEX gig that we did on the 21st of July 1919, that would probably be the most amazing time on stage. But one thing I don't do is I don't watch videos of the band performing, because it destroys your actual memory of it, so I try not to watch footage, because it just there's a few of them. The other time that was really amazing was when the band originally got back together in 2003 after about an 8-year hiatus. We played at Brixton Academy, and Brixton Academy, for anyone who hasn't been there, it's there's about 4,500 people in it. You get about 3,000 people in the apron in front of you, and about 2,500 in the gods, and it was sold out. And the stage is 80 foot deep with a slight kind of tilt on it. And
between 1995 when the band kind of called it a day and 2003 when the band got back together, I do about 150 gigs a year, and I've done 150 gigs in places, some of which are much smaller than this. And the really weird thing is when we stepped out on the stage and got out to the front of the apron, it was like the reverse of Where's Wally, because actually I knew everyone who was on that, all 3,000 people who were there, sat promoter from Shrewsbury there, you know, and so that was a weird moment to know, to have that connection with so many people on not from having been in the band the first time around, but having done events like this, much more sort of community level events, so that was a very special moment.
My national insurance number is written on 1,000 toilet walls. You've got to open yourself up to your innocence. White sheep, black sheep, white sheets, bad teeth. You've got to open yourself up. Open yourself. Open yourself up to your innocence. Thanks a lot, enjoy the rest of the evening. I don't do covers, so don't even ask me because it's fucking pointless. Thanks a lot and good night.
Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. I come to bury Caesar, not to praise him. The noble Brutus have told you Caesar was ambitious. If it was so, it were a grievous fault. And Caesar hath answered it. Here under Brutus and the rest. For Brutus is an honourable man. So are they all honourable men. Come I to speak in Caesar's funeral. He was my friend. Actor. Noble. Faithful and just to me. Yet Brutus says he was ambitious, and Brutus is an honourable man. He hath brought captives home from Rome, whose ransoms did the coffers fill. Did this in Caesar seem ambitious? When the poor hath wept, Caesar hath cried. Did this in Caesar seem ambitious? Yet Brutus says he was an ambitious man, and Brutus is an honourable man.
Hey! No way I got this ball. Carry on. Come on, lad. Come on, lad.
Caesar was my friend until the last.
now, but I really mean it. I can't believe how much love we've had off people. We've had unbelievable love off people. And do you know why we've had a lot of love off people? We've had a lot of love off people because people love Inspiral Carpets, and that's a good thing. So let's have a cheer for Inspiral Carpets, please. That's a good thing. That's respectful and a good thing.
We've got people here from Shrewsbury, we've got people here from Suffolk, we've got people here from Manchester, we've got people here from Liverpool. God bless every single fucking last one of you.